It's already been an eventful day here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Roval, and now it's time for Xfinity Series practice. Cup cars just left the track a moment ago, and it was action-packed in that practice session. Just to give you a quick update, Austin Dillon, by the way, is back here in the garage area. We saw that contact moments ago at the very end of the first practice session for the Cup Series cars, and here's that contact coming through the backstretch chicane, catches those tires. We saw it do damage to Ryan Blaney, and it does a lot of damage to Austin Dillon's car. They are going to fix his primary car for Austin Dillon, so a lot of work to be done. Talked to Andy Petrie from Richard Childress Racing moments ago, and he said, I think we can get it done before qualifying. We will see, but a lot of cars being repaired back here in the Cup Series garage. Time for Xfinity Series practice. Let's go to Dave Burns and Steve Letarte.
Marty, thanks so much for the update, and I can't imagine why there'd be any cause for concern in the Xfinity Series garage. After that, Steve, you walked in with sort of a concerned look on your face. As a crew chief, a former crew chief, you know there's a lot to be thought about here at the Roval.
Well, there is, and I really think it's all about attitude. When I go down through the garage here, I see some teams that are excited to be here, looking at it as an opportunity. Others that kind of have their head down, their shoulders down before they ever turn a lap. I know they got to practice some yesterday, but they've yet to be on the track today as far as the Xfinity teams are. And look, there's a lot. It's a brand new racetrack. It's a challenging racetrack. There's a lot of reasons why it could be difficult, but I think you got to look at those reasons as chances that you can outlast your competitor. And that's what I think it's going to come down to, is outlasting. It's not just a contest of speed. It's going to be a little bit of a chess match. How hard you push and when do you push?
Speaking of lasting, that tire barrier, tire pack, if you will, wrapped in a very, very hard plastic. That took a little bit of a hit there, as Marty showed us, from Austin Dillon. And they're working on it now, Steve. Here's a replay of it.
Yeah, it's risk versus reward. This backstretch chicane is the fastest entry of the entire racetrack. And you just see how close you have to come. And the problem is, look how loose you are right there. Kyle Busch is very loose, barely misses it, and neither of these two have hit the major curbs yet. This is just talking about contact with the wall. Well, you add in some contact with the curbing, and this easily is what can end up happening. I mean, look, that is not good in practice, but this is practice. In the race, that can end your day. I like what the three's doing. We're going to repair this car because I'm not sure they're done hitting the stuff yet.
So yesterday, 2 optional practices for the Xfinity Series, about 3.5 hours. About 30 cars got on track yesterday, so we'll see if they all, 41 of them, take to the track here coming up when it is open. Let's head down to the garage area and Parker Kligerman.
Well, Dave, I'm actually not in the garage area.
There you are.
No, I'm not. I'm actually in a place that we saw many cars struggle with yesterday. We saw Bubba Wallace spin out here, and that is turn 3 and 4. I'm on the pedestrian bridge, how people actually can get into the infield. And you're looking here, you're looking at turn 3, and this corner is so tough because it's a corner that's one of the slowest here. It's second gear, but it invites you to roll speed because as you go through 3, you then have to get it turned for turn 4. It's a double apex, and so many drivers, and you can see all the marks there, have been struggling with being able to roll speed in and then get the car turned, or when they go just a little too far, they say they absolutely lose all grip, and you see them spin out in the outside there. And actually, if they go into 4, then you got to get the power down. You got to go down that back straightaway there. So it's definitely one of the trickiest corners here, a place that a lot of the drivers are struggling with. And guys, I actually found something up here, though, where I'm standing. And I'm going to go throughout the weekend, by the way. I'm going to go many other places, but I just want to point this out. It says no standing.
Yep.
Guess what?
And
I'm a rebel.
No smoking either.
Not anymore.
Oh, look at that.
No standing anymore. I'm standing here. I'm standing.
Hey, if you want to be a rebel, go stand on that tire pack on the exit of the backstretch chicane. Then I'll be impressed.
Well, you say that. Wait till we go where you see us go later in this practice. I'm going to go all over this racetrack to different corners. It's going to be pretty cool.
Parker, thanks. That report was far from pedestrian. Now we get back to the action on the track, and that is the green flag coming out here on the Charlotte Roval.
I think that qualifying might actually be the most difficult part of the weekend for some of these guys. You know, I think it's an 80% type of weekend. I think good laps are going to be 80, 85% in control, understand where to push the car, understand not. This infield section is relatively slow. Second gear, the entire thing. There's no gear shifting. So when you look at road courses, actually the amount of gear shifts to happen here is reduced greatly versus Sonoma, Watkins Glen, or even some of the other road courses the Xfinity cars run.
Saw the 18 there of Ryan Preece. He was very quick yesterday in practice. This is the 20 car, his teammate, Christopher Bell.
He's the happiest guy in all of Charlotte.
And why is that, Steve?
Series. Well, that win last week.
Yeah.
That win last week means that, remember, this is not a cut race for the Xfinity guys. Yep. It is for the Cup Series, but the playoffs do not exactly line up. This is the second race of the first round for the Xfinity teams. And The most successful guy in the first race was this gentleman right here. He got the big win, so he's on. So when we talk about the Roval, what does that look like? Here you go. So you see the little 20 dot, a little circle right there. That's Christopher Bell. He's entering turn 2, a left-hander right at pit exit. Kind of cross into a double right. 3 and 4 is kind of a connected corner. While it looks like there's a straightaway between, you'll see he never really straightens the wheel. It's a big sweeping corner. Exit of turn 4. Now this is a straightaway, potentially a passing zone into turn 5. The hard part is they're not decelerating a tremendous amount. It's still a second gear corner. Now you climb the hill to turn 6, blind corner. Try to make some direction over to turn 7. And actually, I think, surprisingly, this might be a passing zone because as you go from 7 to 8, this turn 8 looks simple on the map, but watch this. You hear how easy it was with the throttle? Climbing that banking is very difficult. Now they're wide open all the way to the chicane.
On towards turn 11 and 12. The exit of 12 being the top of the show story.
Yeah, and the fastest part of the racetrack is right here, the entrance to turn 11. He made it look relatively simple. Now we're climbing NASCAR banking 3 and 4 for the oval track. We're going to come down to the front stretch. Now look at this chicane that just invites you to overdrive.
And if you blow 16, the chance is you'll cut the course on 17, and that could be a penalty.
Yeah, you're going to have to make sure you stay on course. I think turn 17 is going to be a big topic of discussion because it's easy to cut the course not meaning to. And what I mean is, as you mentioned, you overcook 16, you try not to wreck, and that puts you through the turf and miss 17. We asked NASCAR this morning how they're going to officiate that, and they were honest. Little tire squeal there. He said, you don't have to see how it goes. And it's going to be I'm glad I'm not a NASCAR official or an executive because there's going to be a lot of balls and strike calls as far as who misses what corner.
Christopher Bell nearly missed corner 5. There I believe it was. And you see him getting a little squirrely there, too. There's a real balance, Steve, isn't there, between finding speed in your car or cooking your tires like Ryan Truex might have done right there.
Well, there's certain corners you can attack. That front stretch we mentioned, cutting the course, but that's not going to hurt you in practice. So right here, you're going to watch Ryan Truex take the left-hand turn down onto the flat. As he does that, the left front's going to get very light. That's why it locks up. And if he overcooks this corner, he just goes through the turf. No harm, no foul. Versus some other areas on the racetrack where if you mess up, you're going to have a lot of damage.
Now, there is a penalty to be paid there. I talked to Chris Rice this morning about their practices yesterday, and he said one thing we did do is we locked up. It could have been that left front a couple of times. I don't remember which tire he told me, but we corded it after just a couple of times doing that.
Yeah, and when I look at how the Xfinity race is going to lay out, I think there's guys that are going to try to do it on one pit stop. So for that strategy to work, you're going to have to take care of your tires. This is that exit back onto the banking. It looks so simple, but it is not. Now, this part is relatively simple. You see the shift light, that spot right there. You see that glares and flashes on his dash. That's just a shift light to tell him at what point he should change gears.
Downshifting into third. Safely through 11 and 12. Back up to fourth.
Yeah, so watch right here. You're going to see that area flash when it's time to go up shifting. Which from here, he's down into second. I imagine he's going to come out of here in first, probably find second right here. Nope.
And they'll stay second gear through most of the infield part of this course, won't they?
All of this. The entire infield section is second gear. It is for the Cup cars. We'll see. I assume the Xfinity would be the same. I haven't heard a gear shift yet. Catching some traffic. I'm waiting to see where the overtaking is going to take part. So right here.
Steve, he was third fastest in the first practice yesterday, and I asked Chris where that speed came from, and he said simulation. I said, so Ryan spending time in the simulator driving? He said, no. Yes, but the engineering side of this, what the engineers did in terms of setting up the car virtually before they ever hit this track really paid off for these guys, and I know throughout the garage, that's a huge thing these days.
Well, you can set up for remaining on the track and having the best setup, but what you cannot set up for is what this curbs have become. These blue turtles, they call them, are some massive steel curbs that are bolted down. Something has to protect the integrity of the course, and that's what these blue turtles do. And you see the ripple through the fender. Look, the Xfinity race is only 55 laps. 55 laps of this, and I don't believe your car is going to make it. And that wall, you hit that curb and it moves you to the left a little bit, you can easily have a major accident.
That's Brandon Jones, the Atlanta driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. Had trouble yesterday in turn 5. They replaced the right side of this car overnight, actually right here in the garage, I believe. And here's what happened to him yesterday. Around and smack.
It just gets loose into that right-hander, and you see the damage to the car. Unlike the Cup cars, you know, these composite bodies for the Xfinity cars makes this, I'm not going to say an easy repair, but an easier repair. You kind of unbolt the components, tweak on the foundation a little bit, make sure that the mounting area is successfully repaired, and then you just bolt on some new sheet metal. Actually, composite, not even metal.
Exactly, that's right. Talk about passing zones. This was an almost that nearly was trouble. Chase Briscoe coming up on Vinnie Miller. Yep, better lock him up there. Better safe than sorry.
Well, Dave, I may have started on the pedestrian bridge, but now I'm somewhere way different. One of the coolest places on this racetrack. This is turns 11 and 12, also known as the backstretch chicane. These cars are approaching over 160 miles an hour. They'll go down to third gear, about min speed of 120, 130 through the center, and then you watch them go right up to that tire barrier. We saw Austin Dillon hit in practice. We saw Ryan Blaney hit it in Cup Series practice, and you can tell the difference between a fast car and a slow car by how close and how on edge and how much it's rocking around to getting into that barrier. It's an absolutely awesome place to be, Kelly.
Well, the fastest car yesterday, at least in second practice for the Xfinity Series, was Cole Custer. Now we see a couple drivers on different strategies here in practice. Some are in qualifying trim. Cole Custer was not one of those. When I talked to him just as he was walking into the garage at the start of this practice, I asked him what his agenda was. He said he felt really good about what they accomplished yesterday. He felt like he got a good handle for the track. Now they really want to work on the balance of their race car, picking up a little bit more speed. He said he'll continue to learn every single lap, though. And by the way, listening, guys, to the spotters on the radio, they're saying looks like a lot less grip today versus what they had yesterday in those practices.
That's interesting, Steve. So more rubber on the track from the Cup cars in an hour's practice here, but less grip.
Yeah, and I figured it was going to grip up, but you know, sometimes a brand new racetrack has the most grip. Big news out of JRM this week about a new driver for 2019. Noah Gregson's going to join the fold over there at Junior Motorsports. I think that's going to be a good addition. He showed some success in the Truck Series. We'll see how he adapts. So I want to follow Elliott Sadler kind of around. We keep talking. It's one thing to make a lap. It's another thing to race. So we take the one of Elliott Sadler. We're going to let him get through this front stretch chicane. We're going to follow him for a lap. We have yet to see really contended passes. I mean, in my mind, perhaps it starts here out of the final corner. Can you get the power down? This is going to be a really hard area to drive up next to someone. You might be able to contest down into turn one right here. You see how much they break. And now this whole infield section, I think, is all about pressure. I don't think you're going to pass somebody. Second gear the whole time. We've seen guys struggle by themselves. I'm on your bumper. I want you to make a mistake. You make a mistake,
That's
you
right.
can
Then
capitalize.
you've got a spot.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I'm going to drive up next to you. If anywhere, it would happen right here, out of this over to turn 5.
The longest portion of the infield is a straight portion anyway.
Right, and then if you're unable to overtake in turn 5, now I think once again, same idea. You're backing up this turn 7 to get a run in turn 8. Try to drag race him up onto the banking. So right here, you'd want to be right on the bumper of Elliott Sadler. Not to pass him yet, but to get a better run. Now it's a long banked corner. If you have momentum, you're going to be able to get to the inside of him. I don't think you're going to contest the spot into the backstretch chicane. I think you need to be far enough alongside him that Elliott Sadler gives you the spot, because look how narrow this is. I'm not sure anyone's going to try too wide through here. And much like coming out of the infield, I think if you're not beside him there, you exit that corner on his bumper and chase Elliott Sadler back around to this front stretch chicane. It looks like Elliott's coming in right here, but that's kind of the idea. So unlike Watkins Glen, where it's just out braking, I think the passes here are going to start more. Think of like Bristol. The pass starts on corner exit. I get inside you, and then I complete it on corner entry.
Eve, you know, one thing that you didn't get there, but that final chicane to me is probably the only place you can outbrake someone, right? Because that's the only corner that we really see hard braking. It's the hardest corner, the hardest braking we have on the entire track, and it's wide enough that you can force a guy out in the braking zone to make sure you get the position, the real estate to turn in that corner and get the pass done. I really think that's where we see a lot of passes, is down that final chicane.
Well, you say that, Parker, but the question is, which side do you want to be on to outbrake? Because to come through the banking, you know, you would end up over here, right? This would be the primary lane. But if you're on the other side of them, if I'm on driver's right coming out of the banking and I'm in here, why I might not be set up best for this corner here? you definitely aren't going to make the next one, right? I am going to shove you wide and put you through this grass, and I'm going to take the position.
Well, my thing is that you want to be the one that's on the inside of that first right-hander because you can shove that other guy out. I don't want to be the guy on the outside there that's forced and not allowed to turn in. You know, if you're the guy on the inside, you almost block them. You take up all the real estate. You don't let them turn in the corner, and therefore they're just not able to get the turn into the left-hander at all, and you get the pass.
Dave, it's got to be full contact, and I'm confident in saying that because it's contact by themselves. Look at the 36 right here. Tons of speed, thinking the inside of the one. Oh, not quite there, and there's no way he makes 17. So the question tomorrow for NASCAR in the race is going to be, is that penalty for the 36 enough? Right, so he lost time. Or is there a penalty on top of that for cutting the course? I don't know. NASCAR's going to have to decide.
Even to the degree where the question was asked, well, if you just give one position back, is that enough? Maybe you have to give 2 positions back. Right. Fall back behind the next guy. So they are learning. That was a key word that NASCAR used with us this morning when we met with them. They're learning, watching practice today, and they'll have some decisions coming down before the weekend is out. Practice continues for the Xfinity Series from the Charlotte Roval. 21-year-old kid, Matt Tifft, had this going through 16, coming to 17, Steve.
Yeah, and you can see he's just wide in 16 and then has no chance to save it. The bigger concern is, was there any damage as he went over those blue curbing? It looks okay, but Kelly, we're going to see wrecked race cars that don't hit anything but the curbs, I think.
Well, and the team asked him right after that if there was any vibration or anything he felt wrong with the tires otherwise. Matt Tifft said no. Remember, he's coming off 2 straight top 5 finishes on road courses and really seemed to like this track. But just before he went out and had that spin, he had told his crew chief, Randall Burnett, that he had no rear lateral grip. He said he was just way too loose to make it work. So Randall said, all right, we're not going to keep beating a dead horse. Bring it in. We're going to make a big change. They did that and sent him right back out, which is when he spun, Parker.
Well, Kelly, I'm actually over here in turn 4 now. I talked about turn 3 at the beginning of the show, and now I'm in turn 4 because I want to point out a couple things. As you watch the 42, Justin Marks going here, he turns in very early, gets the power down on the exit. And this is one of the toughest corner complexes here because you're asking the car to do a bunch of different things. You see Ryan Preece go through there using a lot of curve on the inside. You're asking it to turn, brake, and then eventually trying to get the throttle down to go down that back straightaway. We saw Ricky Stenhouse lose it here into the barriers, and I can see so many drivers getting loose, losing grip, finding themselves fighting for grip on the exits. This is just an incredibly tough corner complex. Oh, 97 gets very loose there. This place is very tough because you're asking the car to just do so many things, Steve. And you know, as a crew chief, if the car's doing that many things, the driver's just going to complain that what? It doesn't have enough grip.
Well, it never has enough grip. I mean, you know, if you give a driver more grip, they go faster until it slides again. One interesting thing is you see right here as the car is kind of, you said, America's hometown for racing. That's kind of turn 2. They go out of sight, then they come back into sight on the other side of those campers. That group of camping you see above the garages, they're encapsulated by racing. The only way out of there is that pedestrian bridge that Parker was on. I think it was a great addition by Marcus Smith and people at SMI. You want to talk about a great view? Well, these campers to the left side of the screen right here, they have a 360-degree view of racing.
And Marcus told us he had not planned on having camping in that area. And guess who gave him a good idea? Mario Andretti drove around with him and said, hey, you know what? Every track in Europe has infield interior camping, and this one should too. And I guess if Mario says it, probably a good idea.
Let's just be clear. If Mario Andretti suggests it, I would actually listen to him. This great reverse shot right here, looking back at Austin Cindric doing his work in the driver's seat. I want to see the approach as he goes to the backstretch chicane. I want to see if he looks calm in there. You see the work going in right here. That's the left, right's left. And now he's up on the banking. And this is actually relatively calm. He's going to reach down. 3rd gear. He's going to reach down one more time here and get 4th gear. And now it's all about entrance speed into this last, or not the last chicane, but the backstretch chicane. Downshifts to 3rd. Made me nervous on the right side. He looked pretty calm on the left. Now you're going to see he goes back to 4th, and now he's catching the 0-0. This is what we're talking about. So where does he think he can overtake the 0-0? He's going to break into this final front stretch chicane.
Little curb pop in there.
This is great. Yeah, so this will give us an idea of where we're going to see any closing rates. We'll see into this braking zone. He gains,
Nicole just gave it to him there, I believe.
Yeah, he either gave it to him or was afraid he was going to make contact and let him go.
Maybe he'll learn something. You know, that was one of the things I talked to Austin in the garage earlier today. And I said, what about your good times yesterday? He said, no, they were good. No question. The car was good. I felt very comfortable. But everyone is going to get continually better here. And I have to, too. These are very important practice sessions for one of the faster drivers on the course.
And that was, you're not going to follow me and learn.
Yeah.
Figured out in the race. You let the 00 go back by.
Well, gamesmanship, even in practice for the Xfinity Series. Practice continues here at the Charlotte Roval. Ross Chastain in his traditional 4-car. Huh. A little bit of blue steel right there.
Multiple, and let me give you a little hint about that wonderful app. Multiple sports come on that app. Just between, talking about the great sports weekend we have between road course racing in Charlotte, golf in Paris, and some Sunday night football. You got to have the app.
Speaking of multiple, Catherine Legg has had an interesting week. Finished her first oval race in the Xfinity Series at Richmond. Went across the pond to test her electric Jaguar and just got back yesterday to the States. Missed the optional practice sessions yesterday, so these are her first laps on the Roval.
And, one thing about her approach is I have yet to see this 15 car in any sort of situation where they could be damaged. And I think there's something to be said for that. She needs laps.
Yep.
She knows that. The team knows that. Making contact with the curbing, making contact with the tire barrier, all that's going to do is put this car in the garage. It's not going to help her get any more comfort on this road course. So, you have to kind of approach it with a little bit of caution.
Throwing caution to the wind, we're on board with Cole Custer.
This is the infield section. I'm already excited to see this shot come down that backstretch chicane and try to weasel its way through that curbing without an issue.
Although it's nothing without the audio, right? Hearing him feather that throttle throughout the course.
Yeah, so listen here. This is also going to be a little part throttle off this corner. This really tells you how much they're out of the gas. Same as well here.
Now traditional oval, turns 9 and 10, 1 and 2 if you're on the oval.
Now this right here, you're going to be looking for the right curb on entry and then the right curb on exit and try to avoid those tires.
Oh, and shifting.
That was really well done. You saw how much of the right curb he picked up on exit? That gave him some space to that set of tires. Now right here, this is maybe the most abrupt curbing right here at 16 on the inside.
Last time he clipped it, that time missed them both. This was the last lap, and Cole caught a lot of air. Boom!
I could hear the suspension scream from here.
Yeah, and the engineers, that's what yesterday drivers told me. Oh, and that's what it feels like if you're the right front. He moved something there. Did you see our camera angle?
And listen, there has to be a conversation about those curves. They're there for a reason. When you're watching here, you're like, why would you do such a thing? Listen, if those weren't there, the drivers would just continue to take more and more and more, and they would lose the entire integrity of that corner. So that, I think, is a great compromise of damage to your race car, yet you are able to continue. If you did it all day, maybe not.
Here's a portion that doesn't have the blue turtles, and they can use that apron there. Tyler Reddick braking heavily through the bend left on 15. Here is 16. Just a touch. Nice out of 17.
And when I look at Tyler Reddick, I really think when we look at the playoffs in this 9 car, he has to find a way to be just a little more in control, a little less aggressive. The dirt racer, we saw some big maneuvering at Las Vegas on the front stretch that ended up in an accident. I've seen that multiple times out of him. He just has a hard time putting together the length of these Xfinity races, and that isn't surprising. That's what happens when you're young. You have to learn. So I think that's the next big step for this young man when it comes to the playoffs is getting the car to the finish.
That will be the challenge for 200 kilometers on Saturday and 400 on Sunday. We've talked about it, Steve. Both playoff races, and the attrition may be as important as anything. You may have a fast race car, but you've got to make it.
Well, and qualifying is going to be vital in the Xfinity Series. My goodness.
Big hit. That's J.J. Yaley in the 38.
I believe that right there is going to be the yellow. That thing is hit.
Just out of turn 1, Steve.
Yeah, I think we've talked about how difficult turn 1 is and the angle of that wall. We'll have to see what happened, but it looks like he's definitely made contact somewhere down in turn 1.
Yaley with the window net down. Sign to the safety workers that he's all right. Johnny Jackson was rolling away there in the 13 car. Looks like that's where the impact was. Safer barrier down there, Steve, by the way.
Yeah, and there was another car pulling off. I think that was 13.
Yeah, Johnny Jackson.
So I don't know if those were connected or not.
It would stop. I don't know if it locked up the front brakes, but I didn't even run in very deep, but this could get stop and
So
turn.
the 13 is
Spun already out in front.
the 38.
Oh.
Goes straight.
That is a big hit. Takes away part of the banner there. Good to see JJ moving around there. So it sounded like, from what he said, locked up. Definitely something, obviously, in the braking to tire grip area.
And when I go around the racetrack, really the entry to turn 1 is the only area of the racetrack that just concerned from the wall angle. I mean, you're going to see right here, this is not directly head on, but very close. He misses the tires, hits the safer barrier. You know, we saw a practice accident going into turn 1 where 24 had no brakes in a cup car, and William Byron made major contact into what was then tires. Now it is a safer barrier with tires, some concrete behind it.
So Johnny Jackson continues not involved in that, it doesn't look like. JJ Yaley walks away from this.
Have to get a lot of rest from the end of SNL to the start of Ryder Cup, because that's about the only 90 minutes I'm going to sleep. I'm going to start tomorrow morning with Ryder Cup, and I'm going all the way through Sunday Night Football the next day.
Put it on NBC, throw the remote away. So J.J. Yaley's car being towed away from an accident in turn number 1. Not a lot of repair to be done there, but just in case, this is the movable wall on the back, which we've seen moved already, and the track has done a great job of preparing for just in cases. So if we pan away from this, we'll be able to see, Steve, there's a couple of tire barriers to the right against the wall there that they can repair with, and even a big old forklift down here to get the job done quickly.
Yes, you mentioned you see that Z-Max. So that right there is a removable tire pack. Well, then right here, there's 2 more set up and ready to go. And just off camera, there's a big forklift. This is a question I had. You know, the road course is going to be great. It's entertaining for the fans. I can see all the way around it, but nothing stops a race like a long red flag to fix what they have to do. So they're already prepared. You see the forklift there. There's more red, white, and blue right there. I'm sure that's tire pack they could use as well. You know, they're ready. They know that these accidents, Parker, could easily delay a race, so they're already prepared to make repairs.
No doubt, Steve. And actually, I'm right past where J.J. Yaley had his incident in turn 1. We're over here in turn 2, just outside the wall. And behind me is a set of tires. And you're like, what are those? Well, that's actually what he basically ran into. These are the tires that are protecting that wall, and these are the replacement ones that they have down here in the eventual case that if that tire wall is damaged, they can go out there, put these up, and seamlessly have that thing fixed in no time. They actually also have some of those turtles down here, some extra curbing down here as well. So there's all sorts of things to be able to repair the track in a quick manner. And guys, just so you know, these are Goodyears. So
Well,
they stuck with the, you know, they stayed with the branding.
Hold on a minute. And look at the tread.
Yeah.
Those are brand new Goodyears.
I know. I was thinking, you know, they're last year. I was thinking about taking them home and putting them on my road car, but that's not going to work
Anybody
anymore.
that's been in Charlotte long enough knows the I-77 construction. That's good for 1 or 2 flats. I could have used these tires for sure.
Write the tire codes down for us, Parker. Let us know. We'll see if they fit our personal vehicles.
I'm on it. We've done enough.
Charlotte Motor Speedway, home of the Roval this weekend.
Been taking full advantage of this session as Tyler Reddick put down 19 laps, more than anyone. So what do you think so far?
The track's definitely really challenging, but it's a lot of fun. As a driver, when you're making a lap around it by yourself, it's one of the most fun racetracks I've been at this year. But racing on it's going to be a whole new challenge. As I've just seen in practice, and what's going to become a problem tomorrow in qualifying is there's going to be a lot of cars out there attempting to make a lap. There's going to be a lot of cars coming up to speed, then cooling off. You have to complete almost another full lap before you get to green or come back to pit road. So I think the biggest challenge just for anybody tomorrow is just getting clean laps. Catching a lap car in the wrong place can be the difference between having a 3-second gap over somebody or getting passed by that guy if you catch someone going into a chicane or in some of the slower sections. So the name of the game is going to be catching cars in the right places and thinking ahead. We've just been trying to make a car that's very drivable. I think I'm getting to the point now where we can probably put a little bit more speed into the car, make it a little bit turn a little bit better, put it a little bit more on edge. That's some stuff we'll work on here in second practice, get some stuff switched over, get ready for tomorrow's race, and then hopefully we can find a little bit more speed. But it's all about consistency. We can't make big mistakes. We got to get through this race ahead of the cut line for Dover.
All right, we'll let you get back to work, Tyler. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Hey, Steve, that thing he was talking about with qualifying and slowing NASCAR talked to us about that this morning. There's a little difference here at the Roval than maybe a regular road course.
Well, you basically, they feel that there's more place to get off the racetrack because of the oval, but it's still over a 2-mile road course where this whole infield section, look, they go from the left side to the right, back to the left. It's going to be hard to get out of the way. Plus, I just don't think the drivers have a lot of view out of their mirror. You're continually turning. So I agree with what he said. I actually think traffic at qualifying is going to be a major issue. There is no escape plan. There's no shortcut back to the garage. You have to have an up-to-speed lap, a time lap, and a cool-down lap. And a clean lap is going to be way more valuable than a good handling race car.
Cup qualifying later today, Xfinity Series qualifying tomorrow. Daniel Hemrick will be involved in both. Let's head down to Parker.
Well, guys, to add on to that discussion about getting out of the way in qualifying, one of the toughest places to get out of the way is going to be these turns 5, 6, 7, 8 complex that I'm actually right behind me right here. What we have is the exit of turn 6, and you see all the elevation change. I think it's one thing Jeff Burton remarked about, how much elevation change is really at this Roval. As they come out of 6 into turn 7, they dive into basically what's a bowl. It's almost banked a little bit, and then as they head out of 7 into 8, you lose all that banking, and suddenly you lose the front end of the race car. It's a very tricky spot, but it's also very, very skinny, so it's a tough place to get out of the way in qualifying. Now, guys, I'm on a forklift right now. The only thing is, we can't figure out how to make this thing work. So I wanted to go check out turns 1 and 2 and 8, but I can't. Well, it won't go up.
Hey, Parker, let me give you a little hint. That's not a forklift. That's a scissor lift. A forklift.
Scissor lift.
A
yes.
forklift has
Good
forks.
That's
I'm looking
cool.
around
There's
for
no
forks.
fork on here.
No
There's
forks.
no fork. Yeah. No, I had. That's where I need to start, was knowing the vehicle I'm on, I guess. If I knew the vehicle I was on, maybe I would know how to work it.
Parker, hey, listen, right behind you, Dean knew what to do. Come on, Parker.
Yeah, look at him. He's so high up. He's got such a great view. I can't seem to get the same view. I'm going to have to get him to come back down and find a way up on his.
Well, you were so scared of Indianapolis up on your perch that we decided to keep you at ground level.
My perch was a little shaky up there, I will admit. It was very shaky.
The fun we have with Parker Kligerman around the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Well, we've talked about the easiest corner to miss, luckily without damage right here. And when we talk miss, that's fully missed. That's just completely loose under braking, you see. Catherine's on the brakes, trying to turn right. The back of the car steps out, and fortunately, they know that you have kind of a bailout spot, right?
Yep.
And you can just go straight right through there. And let's talk about that. That's not grass. That's turf. This entire front stretch is turf. We saw splitters torn off at Las Vegas. There's been a lot of drivers very vocal about grass at racetracks. SMI, Marcus Smith, everyone here said, all right, we're going to come up with a solution. We're going to change all of the grass on the front stretch to turf. Multiple reasons, but one of the big reasons is the underlying, the material under the turf much smoother, much more durable, and they feel that when a car spins through there, the chance of it damaging the race car because of, say, rain or the area getting soft is much less, and we're seeing it tested multiple times today.
The name of the company is Fields. You've seen it on Kevin Harvick's K&N Pro Series car the last couple of years, and they did this work. Here's some numbers that go along with the rest of the work that has been done here on the Roval. There is, on the bottom, by the way, 112,000 square feet, Steve.
Oh, my goodness.
Just as we get reading, Christopher Bell is off track. That's over out of turn 3, heading to 4.
One more dig in here.
So, a little bit of damage to the right front. He's locked into the next round, so he's not too
less concerned, right?
Yeah.
But a perfectionist and a competitor. Doesn't want to get this wrong. Here's how it happened.
Just going to ask you to overdrive.
We don't need to do that.
Oh, yeah. It's loose. So right there behind him, you don't see it yet, but right there behind him is the Panic Patio. A bar, an area to watch turn 3. So earlier this week, I had some parent-teacher conferences. My daughter's science teacher said, hey, where should I watch this new Roval from? And I said, well, first of all, there's not a bad seat in the house. Did you see contact to that tire barrier for the 20 of Christopher Bell? It's not a bad seat. But if it's an adult trip and you're not bringing any kids, I suggest right here. I mean, what's better than this? This is go, have a beverage. You got a lower tier and upper tier right there in turn 3. It's going to be the action spot.
Panic patio. Kelly, go ahead, follow that up.
Yeah, how can I? I mean, those might be the happiest people here, but as Steve pointed out at the top of the show, so was Christopher Bell, and I actually saw him in the garage watching Cup practice and the carnage that took place there. And I said, hey, what's it like watching this, you know, knowing that you're secure into the round of 8? And he did have a very big grin on his ear, but he said, look, I still really want to win this race, so I still got to go out there and do it. And you can see right there, just trying to get everything he can out of this practice.
A lot of them trying to do that. I'll tell you who's gotten all they can get. The track. A couple of years in the making. These are some of the things that have happened. By the way, new caution lights installed in the infield, very important for the competitors. Canopies for the tire packs, we showed you those earlier, and 5,400 gallons of paint. This place looks gorgeous, and it's fast. NASCAR's home track gets a new twist for the playoffs. The Monster Energy Cup Series hits the Charlotte Roval Sunday at 2 Eastern on NBC. And tomorrow it's the Xfinity Series, 3 Eastern on NBCSN. Talk about a twist. Sounds like the Panic Patio again. Hey, some radio from Elliott Sadler.
Whatever change he made right there, whatever that did, is exactly what we had going on yesterday. Took all the rear bite out of the back of the car. Extremely, extremely loose.
So what Elliott Sadler's talking about there is just bite. You know, when you get to the road courses, you got to be a little more general. And what I hear is just grip in the back of the car, changing direction, more importantly, trying to put the throttle down out of all of these corners. You know, we talk about practice, and you say, oh, you want to make good changes. Sometimes it's just as good to make a bad change. You put something in the car, it's not as good. Elliott doing a very nice job telling his crew chief, Kevin Mendring, hey, that's it. We did this yesterday. It didn't work. I don't know if this is the same change, but I have the same feeling.
Somebody told me that earlier today, Steve. In fact, I think it was the crew chief of this car. Chris Rice said at the end of the practice, we were not good. We were awful. I said, I bet you hate ending that way. He said, no, we know what not to do the next day.
This is what I've been waiting to see right here is, will this be a contested pass, or will the 15 just let the 11 go? Whoa!
Last minute, Catherine Legg does not keep her foot in it. Ryan Truex goes on through.
Good thing he was on the inside when she decided to let him go. Now he's heading into the front stretch chicane. He's going to make it without a problem. He looks relatively in control here.
Is that shifter light you were talking about earlier on the upper left of his dash?
And listen to the throttle. We heard Elliott Sadler talk about trying to get the power down. Well, I think the 11's quit right here. He's had enough. Producers on fire once again today.
That's never his fault. You know that.
No. Oh.
Here's Jeff Green, narrowly missing the exit there, but hitting that turtle.
I refuse to call it that. It's a curb to me. I can't do it.
Well, turtles everywhere probably don't like the phrasing.
I just can't do it. Can't do it. There's certain limitations.
These are tough turtles, though. Look at that. Look at the abuse it's already taken. Hasn't budged. He may be slow, but he's tough. Justin Marks is in the 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing this weekend. That car on the right, and it's not going to make the final corner. This time will be disallowed because didn't use the entire course.
And Justin's saying this is going to be his last NASCAR race from what I hear. So we'll see. We've heard that out of other drivers, and they've made a return. We'll see if Justin Marks sticks with it.
See, the red and black flags are out. Practice number 3 for the weekend is over. There will be one more just over an hour from now. You'll see that right here on NBCSN. Parker has been a lot of places today. In fact, we're going to show you every one of them. Almost an even half dozen, Steve.
It makes me feel a little bad about my work up here, Parker. All I did was hang out in the booth. You've been over there. Oh, my God.
Look right now.
There.
The Panic Patio over here in turn 3 with my man Montio, the bartender. And guys, this is such a cool spot to be. Everyone's over here having drinks, watching cars spin out of basically in this turn 3, this tough turn 3. And Steve, I got one more show to do, so I'm going to have a cranberry on the rocks. But, Montiel, can you get me a tequila soda for later, about 5 o'clock, watch qualifying? Yeah, all right, cool. I'm going to be watching qualifying over here, Steve. You're free to join me.
It's not just the track. I mean, what I think needs to be applauded here is the event, right? It's a lot of buzz because nobody knows how the track is going to race, a lot of pressure for the drivers, but a lot of amenities for the fans. And you talk about coming to do fun and exciting things at a sporting event. Think about this. You want a front seat for this accident right here? Well, that bar, you're heading at it, and now you're heading at it backwards.
Oh, slight damage to the 20 car. He got it rolling again, back on track. Here's another look at it, right in front of the Panic Patio. Aptly named.
So I normally cover Cup qualifying from the Peacock pit box, but maybe I can weasel my way into an exception today. We'll see.
Parker hasn't moved. Monty's helping him out down there.
I haven't, guys, and I got that cranberry juice on the rocks right now.
Well, yesterday was more testing than practice. It was optional. Today, not optional. But again, Cindric fast. Hemrick double duty. The laps, I think, is helping him. He's second quick as well. So, and look at the spread, though. Almost a second and a half in the top 10. I think that's part of learning a new racetrack.
Kelly Stavist.
I'm not at a bar. I'm in the garage doing actual work, finding out that what happened to the 7 cars was because we saw it getting pushed back to the garage. Broken axle for Justin Allgaier, so that team's got some work to do.
We'll have an hour to get that repaired, Steve. That's not a huge deal.
Not a huge deal, but the concern is why did it break? I mean, they haven't run that many laps. Maybe it was just a used piece of equipment. They'll put the new in for the race. And this is going to be a test of man and machine. The drivers, it's a tough little racetrack. You're going to have to stay physically in the car, not get worn out, and the equipment can easily break.
Steve, here's what's happening the rest of the day. That 3 o'clock Xfinity Series practice from the Panic Patio or wherever. NASCAR America at 4, and then qualifying. We've talked about it all day. Going to be critical where you qualify for Sunday's race. That happens at 4:30. NASCAR America follows that. We know where Parker will be.